size too. I always like the little stubby cigars though. I like the little.
Oh yeah.
I think you're like a.
They're different sizes,
Yeah.
right?
I always think I'm like the walrus from Alice in Wonderland.
All right, hello everybody. We are here at our labyrinth. We have a labyrinth. It's like a maze, but it is a spiritual process whereby one walks the labyrinth, and eventually the center is symbolic of Christ. And today we're here with Fresh and Faithful, myself, Father Hal, and we have Joe Bedard. And so we're here with a cigar as well because we thought, it's a nice, relaxing day. It's not raining anymore, so thanks be to God. But today we're talking about relationship and how sometimes relationships can be like a labyrinth, right, Joe?
Okay.
It's confusing.
I'm just gonna say time out real quick.
Yeah.
This one's relationships again.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just gonna stand on that segment for like a few shows.
I think so.
Okay, because we said time and responsibilities.
Is it time and responsibility?
That's what we said.
Okay.
But we don't have to. We can. I like the idea of just kind of like sticking with a relationship idea, if you want to do it that way.
Time and responsibility, relationship. Let's see. How do we?
Because we can't do that. Because how I'm titling them, like I had it relationships in caps, so we can just keep living with that kind of lesson.
No, let's do time and responsibility. But I'll just say life is a labyrinth, and then you chime in with time.
Yeah, because that was gonna be my.
Okay.
I have an in.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay.
All right, speed, Margaret.
Well, welcome everybody. We are here with Fresh and Faithful Show, and we have. Come on.
Okay. I was thinking of like this bloop. I don't know. This is just solid bloopers, but this is fine. We're fine here. Everything's fine. Go for
We
it.
got our cigar. We're fine.
I'm ready.
Well, welcome everybody. We're here with Joe Bedard and myself, Father Hal, Fresh and Faithful, and we're sitting in a labyrinth, right?
Yes,
And
we are.
What is a labyrinth, Joe?
A labyrinth, as you just taught me, is a maze, and a maze is used to get people lost, or is that good?
Or confused.
Or confused,
Right.
lost or confused.
No. And so really, the labyrinth, though, in the spiritual realm, is more of a spiritual technique or process where a man or a woman walks the labyrinth and is supposed to unravel for that person whatever is happening within that person. It could be emotional trauma, spiritual confusion, or maybe a difficult situation or relationship in life. And as they're walking the labyrinth, right, eventually they get to the center. And so that unraveling process happens with your body. And since we are body and soul, what happens is our soul also starts to calm down, right? Starts to unravel. And eventually the center is symbolic of Jesus. And so we come to the center, which is Jesus Christ. But sometimes life is like a labyrinth.
Absolutely. Life is like a labyrinth, and I think in those times of confusion, in those times of feeling lost, and even those times of being unraveled, I think we find ourselves sometimes losing track of the present time, being present with ourselves, being present with God, and then also just losing track of the day-to-day responsibilities that we have as brothers and sisters in Christ. Me being a husband, but also wives out there, we have specific responsibilities, priest responsibilities, and I think it's up to us to but have God help us, direct us through the labyrinth or, the maze of life.
And with time and everything, why is it that we always complain we have no time?
I am such a victim of that. It is. I am so bad at that. I think there's only like 1 hour in every day, I swear. And it's actually been a new finding in my spiritual journey of these, these past few months. I used to always have heavy anxiety. And I think it kind of came with, just the ADHD kind of lifestyle I live. But I always, I would jump to one thing, jump to the other thing, think I have a bunch of time to do those things. And then I end up not doing those things at all and just saying, I'll do it tomorrow, And I think we just lose our track in those kind of, what was your question again?
Why is it that we have so little time? We always say we have no time, right? But we have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
A bunch of time, sorry.
Right? So what loses that time? What makes us so distracted or so busy that we have no time? I mean, maybe in your own life, when you look at your married life now, and you were single recently, right? You just got married.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, I was
So
single.
what's the difference now? Do you have more time now that
I
you're
actually
married
have
or
more.
less?
I actually have more time.
Oh, okay.
But again, it goes back to what I was saying. Thank you.
Yeah.
That I lost, I think, my track of being present. I'm always so worried about the future. I'm always so worried about what I need to do
Mm.
that I lose what I am doing and what, those kind of things. My wife, she is somewhat of a centerpiece for me in those moments of, remembering that, me and her are walking together. And if I'm thinking so ahead, I'm losing our relationship. I'm losing my track and my walk with her. And then going into more spiritual sense, being with God, being that present moment with God, I found myself maybe losing that, or not appreciating that,
Mm-hmm.
not really benefiting from that. In my past, I would always think, never really silencing myself, never really centering my heart in moments, and those moments tend to I found were hurting me as much as I thought I was getting closer to God.
Right.
If I'm not being present with God, you can't really build a relationship like that. You can't get closer to someone if you're not actually there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that to be kind of a big eye opener these past few months. And in that, learning to center myself, learning to kind of close my eyes and really think and focus on what I need to get done in those moments, I found that I have 24 hours in the day, and those 24 hours actually feel like 48 some days now. I've been able to do more things now because I'm keeping a centered heart on God. I'm keeping a centered heart on my wife, things that I need to do to, be responsible in my daily life.
Oh, beautiful. And it's often said that, the past is already done, the future may not come, but all you have is the present moment, correct? And so what do you do in the present that allow you to have that sense of more time? You say prayer is one.
Yeah.
What other things that foster that sense of presence within your life?
So I actually heard a quote forever ago. I can't remember who it's from, but music.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, when you're playing the piano, you are actually tricking your brain and your body and your soul, all, mind, body, and soul, all at once to focus on one thing at one time. It's only, I'm so bad at that. It's unreal, man. I did it again. There was like
You're
a squirrel.
squirrely.
Squirrel.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so they said, man, I really wish I remembered who said that. But they said in the moment of playing a piano or a musical instrument, it is actually the most present you'll ever feel. Which, I mean, I don't think you'll feel that crazy difference,
Mm-hmm.
but it is actually happening whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So music, prayer. I love walking. In times I'm feeling frustrated, or in times I'm feeling like I'm losing track of my day. Sometimes it's good to just kind of reset, take the dog on a walk, feel, be outside, be in nature, and just kind of, again, that is God's presence. Sitting in nature is a very good way to really feel God around you. What do you do, Father Hal, besides prayer?
Yeah, of course, as a priest, we pray, but also how I become present is really engaging the spiritual life in ways of creativity, right? And
Hmm.
so, really, how do I pray as I walk, right? Sometimes I'll walk this labyrinth here, and I would have a book, and I would
Yeah.
read the book while I'm walking. A lot of people say, "How do you walk and read the book?" I don't know. It's a gift. It's a gift, dude. And I never fall. I never
Even walk
fall,
and
dude.
talk.
Yeah, so I read the book and I'm walking, and it's engaging multiple aspects or probably of my brain, right? Just like say about music,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of firing all these synapses, right? Creativity, you're exercising, you're focusing, you're meditating. And so all of this gives me that peace. But also, sometimes I like to have a cigar,
Yeah.
right? Just
Absolutely.
kick back, have a cigar, right? Drink a little Diet Pepsi with it, and just think about creation and how God is speaking to me throughout the day. So really that contemplative lifestyle, right? Contemplation is really not using words or imagery, but really it's placing your hand in God and having that awareness that God is present at all moment.
Yeah. It makes me think of like adoration. I feel like, I feel like it's a great moment for me in adoration to when, obviously you're kind of, you're kind of forced to be, still. And
Mhm.
I mean, you can't just go get up and go do what you want to do. You can lay down, sit down, do what you want to do, but you're going to be in that spot for a minute,
Right.
And I think it gives me a moment of really, like we use contemplation, but, discernment of just really what am I being called to do? What am I supposed to be doing,
Mhm.
the right way and the wrong way? And I turn to those moments in adoration in times of distraction, like a labyrinth, like a maze, there's always different turns and different paths that you can go that may not actually go to the center. And in our world today, such a noisy, such a loud and just hectic thing that's happening around us all the time. And especially someone like me who I struggle with silence, I really have to work hard in those moments of centering myself again and remembering, there is the light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light in the center of a maze, and you just have to remember that you're gonna make those wrong paths, but how do you get back on those tracks? So what would be maybe some common wrong paths, wrong turns in a labyrinth that we see today, that teens maybe struggle with? Even like older generation people, what do they struggle with, you think?
The greatest labyrinth is our mind
Mm-hmm.
and our emotions, right? Because the emotions are confusing.
Absolutely.
Right? One moment you're angry, another moment you're thankful, another moment you're sad.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes I think I have bipolarism.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
quadruple-ism.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's a thing, but I'm sure we can make it a thing, right?
It is, right?
And you go to like WebMD and you're kind of like self-diagnosed, and you're like, oh, I'm schizophrenic.
A runny nose is cancer now.
I know. Yeah. So all these things, it's really the mind. The mind is a complex maze. We don't even understand fully what happens in dreams, perhaps, or what we're contemplating about. Sometimes thoughts are just thoughts. How does these thoughts get in here?
I don't know.
When you think about it.
I don't know. I read a book right now, and it's the Sermon of Spirits or Spiritual Warfare or something like that. But they talk about that, how like there's evil thoughts, and there's evil spirit thoughts and good spirit thoughts. Mm-hmm. And like it just kind of goes through these rules. Like I think there's 13 or 16 rules of just quick discernment things of being in consolation or desolation. How do you feel when you're in consolation? How do you not go into desolation? If you're in desolation, how do you get into consolation? Because it's an ever-changing thing. Like one day you're going to wake up and you're not going to want to go to the gym. You're not going to want to get out of bed. You want to sit on your phone and just scroll for hours and hours. And what is that thought that's triggering you to do that? And it's that self-doubt. You lead to self-doubt. You lead to just things like, deeper things like depression. But it's like, how do you get out of that? And what are ways to get out of that? I think we've kind of labeled some of those already, but...
Yeah, and sometimes, now that you're talking about it, life is a labyrinth, but Jesus Christ is not a labyrinth.
I like that. I kind of like, even out here right now, there's almost a straight one... It's kind of blocked off right there, but it almost has like a straight path to the center. Or you can choose to go quote the Beatles, you can do the long and winding road to God. But it almost seems like you can either take that quick route to Jesus, or you can go through the crazy adventure.
That's right.
I prefer the adventure sometimes. But there's definitely needs in life when you just need that straight shot to Christ, in those times of true desperation.
Yeah, and it's often said that a way for us to like resolve that labyrinth or that confusion is gratitude. There's psychology that's done that says if you're gracious at all moment of your life, there's no time for anxiety.
Yeah.
Like you cannot be anxious if you're gracious or you're thankful, right? Because you're thankful all of it. There's no room for anxiety.
And
there's
anxiety
no room for
doesn't buy you another hour in the day.
Oh no! It causes headaches and right. It's
no
torturous.
sleep.
It's very torturous.
Yeah, I love sleep.
I love sleep too. Oh my gosh. Right, but many times as you're adulting, right, sometimes you lack sleep because of responsibility. You talk about responsibility.
Yeah. Responsibility is something I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that, especially in our world right now of younger people getting out of college, even high school to college. There's new things that are getting thrown onto you of what you need to do now to finish. What you need to finish and get there and get be successful and do all these things. And I think we're so worried about that end result, we just forget about all the little tiny responsibilities that we're supposed to do between then and, now and then, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it starts with, some crazy military guy said that, it just starts with making your bed in the morning. These small responsibilities I think people just pass over these days. That ends up doing crazier and harder things on you instead of just taking care of those things. I'm learning that maybe like 3 months ago even, I was in that state of like, again, I'll do it later. There's always tomorrow. And there's not always tomorrow for one. Tomorrow is a gift. Yeah, and it's just, instead of passing the buck and just passing the buck to your tomorrow self, let's just get it done now, you know?
Yeah, and that achieves within yourself a sense of resiliency too, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like overcoming those difficult moments, and you build up. It's like working out, right? You got to work out with what, 5 pounds, right? I'm saying 5 pounds because that's all I could lift, man.
500.
500? Like maybe that's what you weigh, but oh man.
Mother was,
Yeah. But yeah, you know,
So
you got to
good.
start small, right? Win those small moments, and eventually those bigger moments, you're not afraid,
Yeah.
right? And
yeah.
you can confront it and overcome it. But if you never achieve and overcome those small moments, those big moments come, what happens? You run away.
Yeah. It makes me think of like David and Goliath, you know, like
Oh,
he
yeah.
had to just
Oh, yeah.
face the giants of giants. And it's like, what if he didn't do the small things before getting there? And that small thing could just be as simple as trusting God, you know, trusting God every day. It's such a small, easy thing to do. Maybe not easy, but it's such a small thing to do, to just wake up and thank God for another day, you know, and people struggle with that. I struggle with that. We had to move my phone. I have to move my phone out of my bedroom now, because if I wake up, I just immediately want to just grab my phone and just do this and get my awesome fix of dopamine and move on with my day. When, you know, God is that ultimate dopamine. God is that ultimate gift that you can have to really set your day. That was a challenge for me, like to myself, to be better, was to do that. But then also, you know, when I walk my dog, you know, do a rosary. It's a simple, like I told you that before, but it's my walk with my dog is the perfect distance to do a whole rosary. And it's, now I don't change that walk ever. I do exactly that amount of time, because it really sets my day. I can see the difference when I don't do it. If I just go walk the dog for a quick block, don't pray the rosary, and I get home and I start working, I am bad at my day. I am not productive. I am more constantly driven by other things going around in me. But if I do the rosary, I find myself almost coming back to that throughout my day. And that's that centering, you know, like I come back to the, you know, what did I promise, not myself, but what did I promise God this morning? I promised I was going to be a productive person who gets stuff done and, you know, who lives throughout his name, you know, through my works, you know, praise his name. And so, yeah, it's like, I guess that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And you're really allowing God to lead you in the labyrinth of life, right? He knows the way.
Yeah.
Right? Either you take the shortest way or the adventure, but
Yeah.
either way, he's going to lead you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But sometimes we choose not to be led by Christ. And what happens?
Yeah. A lot of things can happen.
Exactly. We get lost. We get distracted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we get like self-defeat.
Yes.
And we don't do
And
anything.
then we feel
right?
like we're stuck in a ultimate pit of shame, and then you're just stuck forever. And I'm stuck forever, and I'll never be worthy of, you know, Jesus's love. You know, there's been a few moments in my life that I felt that, and it just comes down to me not being patient with myself. You know, God is always patient for you, and like He practices the ultimate patience. And if you can't practice that on yourself, I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, but yet it's so hard. It's so funny to me. It's such an interesting thing.
But patience is a hard virtue, man.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
we all
yeah.
struggle with it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Just driving here, I mean, there's already
yeah.
no
Oh,
patience
yeah.
of a car in your way, and you're like, get out of my way.
Like, all of these triggers. Like,
Yeah.
we have like these triggers that makes us so frustrated sometimes.
Yeah.
But why can't we let it go?
I don't
Why
know.
can't we just say, you know what? Let's love.
Yeah.
Right? Let's
Yeah.
love the person who is driving on that Prius in front of you like 20 miles per hour. I'm sorry, Joe.
So
I gotta reveal this. No.
I drive a Mazda 3, 2016. It's blue.
License plate V5689.
I can't even tell you what 7REA 838. I got it. I used to not remember that at all for the life of me. But yeah. I think it's, man, I was going to say something and then you made me laugh. Oh, the love thing. You said that before, forever ago, but you were just like, it's just love. It's just love. And like that, I have to tell myself that now all the time if I'm going in moments like that of, you know, getting triggered. And I just feel like we're all just stuck in it's like we're stuck in our fight or flight modes now all the time. And I think it's just because we're mentally drained from, you know, social media, from watching 27,000 episodes of The Office on Netflix in one day. You know, that's draining on you. And it's funny because I think we find it so entertaining. And yet when you actually put it down, I feel that in my head sometimes if I go through a day like that of like being on my phone forever. Even just yesterday, you know, I was working a lot yesterday, editing and doing all these things. I'm going to wait for this plane.
It's Amazon. Look at Amazon
It
plane.
is
They got my
Amazon.
package.
Drop it!
That's right. That's what my package is. Don't lose it.
word? Because I'm going to cue it.
Oh, shit. I have no idea, dude. Like, I'm as ADD as you heard, dude. I'm just smoking my cigar.
Oh, I know what I was saying. So yeah, I yesterday I was on my computer like editing all day, doing a bunch of stuff on my phone, talking to people on my phone all day, and it's like I'm just having these two devices just plugged into me. It feels like plugged into me all day, and then finally the evening came and I finally turned everything off, but I felt it in my head of just so much. There was so much pressure and like a headache, and yeah, it's like because I'm looking at screens all day,
Yeah.
but there's something more there. I feel like I'm more mentally drained and like inside spiritually drained sometimes.
Yeah, because we're not created for technology.
No.
We're created for love.
Yeah.
Right?
It's transhumanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so how do you become aware of that and realize like the reason why you're feeling depressed, the reason why you're anxious, or is the reason why like you're feeling gloom is because maybe you haven't loved another person. Maybe you haven't received the love from your parents or from your siblings or from your neighbor because you're so isolated and you're stuck on your phone, which you think like, oh, it's entertainment. But not all entertainment is good.
And that's where that AI stuff is like becoming an issue in my eyes. I know some people, they're so lonely they think they need that, but like, I mean, there's AI girlfriends now and AI boyfriends, and it's just amazing to me that people can, it's honest, it's amazing that they can feel that love from a computer. And it's just, how is that possible? Is it because maybe they just don't feel a human love compared to a computer love? Like they just think that's love? I'm curious.
I think the reason why is because majority of people are afraid of reality, so they like to live in fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? They like to fantasize about the love. They like to fantasize by the what ifs, and it's because it's non-committal, it's non-sacrificial, right? Is non how should I say relational, and so they're in control of that phantasmal world where reality you're not in control. You have to surrender to God. You have to sacrifice. You got to love. You got to spend the time and work, just like marriage.
Yeah. Well, and those responsibilities. Like that goes back to responsibility. I think when people don't want to face reality, it's because they don't want to face the responsibilities of reality. Mm-hmm. They don't want to face the worry of if I'm doing something right or wrong. I'd rather just not do it when it's like you should just do it. We talked about that just earlier of me needing to be better at working at marketing myself and what I want to do in life. I'm so worried about the negative thoughts, the negative comments, when it's like you should just rather just do it and see what happens, because again, it's just for love and it's for God. So what can be wrong in that?
Yeah. And so really life is a labyrinth. And so how do you navigate it? What message can you give to the people out there right now who is in this labyrinth of life and perhaps is lost in this labyrinth? What is your message to them, and how can they get to the center, which is Christ?
I think a big key, especially in my life, going through that labyrinth of finding that center with God, was having good people around you. Going through a labyrinth alone is a lot harder than going through a labyrinth with, like we said in the last podcast, 3 or 12 people. Having at least one person there, of just someone that can kind of check in on you. Let's say you're in the labyrinth and you're maybe a few links behind them, they can come back and get you and say, this is the right way, because I think that's how God sometimes moves for us, is we think God is always just going to speak to us from the sky and, even just in our hearts, but sometimes it's coming from your friend, and like, you don't really realize that sometimes.
True, very true.
And instead you just get pissed at them for bugging you at 8 p.m. on a, it's just like, so I think
you want to share something, Joe?
There's some trauma.
There's some trauma there.
But it's like, it's just having that, having that collaboration, having that groupage of good, wholesome people has definitely helped me through the maze of getting to the center of Christ. Moving by myself, though, because there's definitely times you have to move by yourself. Mm-hmm. That's where I think acknowledging that there's warfare inside of you. I think acknowledging that is so important, because it's easy to fall into your own thoughts. I mean, my thoughts drive me away more than someone else's thoughts that are said to me. It's me usually, and I think people don't really take that responsibility of it's self. It's just those kind of things. We're so into ourselves now too, which is so funny. Self-love, self-care, and all these things, and yet we're not looking at the bigger picture of maybe those things being told to you that it's going to be good for you are driving you to something farther away from Christ. So I think that's where that discernment comes in of spiritual warfare, of just really finding that consolation with God. And living in that desolation is a hard thing, but it's part of the journey, I guess.
Yeah,
It makes
yeah.
you grateful, like you said, gratitude. It just makes you grateful for that time of consolation, and it's a hunger, and to never lose that hunger, I guess.
Most definitely. Well, thank you, Joe, very much for really sharing the deep, intimate, but also realistic, fresh, and faithful part of your life.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you're keeping it fresh, man.
But what about you, Powerhouse?
What about me?
How do you get through your labyrinths every day?
Oh, of course. Love Jesus Christ, and it's really experiencing Christ at all moments, right? To live that contemplative life means to be able to experience God at all moments. Like even this is prayer for me,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And God is the one who directs and guides me. So my orientation is really simple. Focus on the Lord, right? Everything else, I don't focus on because why? It's too much distraction.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, what is God wanting me to do right now? How is God wanting me to figure out this situation? What does God want me to eat sometimes? Because many times I want to be gluttonous, right? Or I want to eat like a double animal style, but 3 of them.
Heck yeah.
Right. So I'm asking God, like, what is the most prudent thing to do right now? And God is saying, okay, right? Be moderate, right? Be charitable, be kind. Right? Of course, the conversation may not be as elaborate as many people think, but it's more like this inspiration, this passion, and this desire to live this holy and spiritual life with God. And really, to get through this labyrinth, it takes a lot of formation, but a lot of spiritual dedication as well, right? And prayer time.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not like praying 30 minutes a day. No, it's praying 1 hour, 2 hours sometime a day.
Yeah.
Even what St. Mother Teresa said, when you're busy, right, pray another hour. I'm like, what? How is that possible? St. Mother Teresa, like, how is that possible? I'm busy. And you say pray 1 more hour?
I think I got
sense.
48 hours. That woman had like 103 hours.
She had eternity, dude.
Yeah.
She had eternity, man. Oh, man.
That is true. Someone said that on a Instagram post one time. A guy I follow, but he said that he was. It was something about eternity. I can't remember, but it was like I think people forget what eternity means.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, but like we were so worried that we only have 80 years or 90 years, and it's like, well, dude, if you live your life, you live your life with God and walk with God, you're gonna have eternity. I don't think people really understand that, like the weight of that.
Right. But my question is, isn't this time part of eternity?
Yeah, yeah. That's a mind blow. I don't want to.
Even though
It is, yeah.
because
So
this
instead
time,
of-
even though like this chronological time ends,
yeah.
but the time that we have with God never ends.
And that's I could see Jesus doing that, being on earth for the years he was, probably talking to Mother Mary in those kind of moments. It's I have to go be with my Father now, those kind of things. And it's like you can see Mary. Obviously, I can't see her because I wasn't there, but but you can feel for her in those moments of like, man, she lost her son,
Right.
and it's like, but there's that trust and remembrance that he is somewhere else, just living somewhere else for a while. Then he comes back down and knocks it all down. He's an absolute superhero.
I mean, he's God for a reason, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So, walk through your mazes. You never know how long it's going to take, or what path you're going to take. But I think it's just always important to remember that there is God in the center of that labyrinth, and to have that patience through that walk, and just be grateful for that walk. Take what you can, learn from what you can, and just try to live the best life you can and find that center. And with that, we say, stay fresh.
And stay faithful. That was good.
I was waiting for you to say God bless. You should say God bless at the end.
God bless.
Thanks, dude.